Hi everybody, my name is Victoria. Welcome back to my channel. And today I thought we would do a Victober themed video. I hadn't done a Victober video yet, and it is Victober. So we are going to be doing a Charlotte Bronte author deep dive because I'm in the middle of Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte currently, and I'm loving the experience. I am rereading this for the third time, and I've been doing it on audiobook, which has been a really fun experience. I'm really enjoying the particular audiobook that I got, and it's been just wonderful to revisit this classic. While reading it, I did realize that I didn't actually know a lot about Charlotte Bronte's life, and so I went ahead and did some research and figured I'd make a video. And just a disclaimer here, I am in no way a Charlotte Bronte expert. I'm just a person who did some research on the internet. So I'm hoping that my data that I collected is correct. And so if you're watching this and you are actually an expert and you're thinking to yourself, nope, that's wrong, and that didn't happen that year, well, feel free to correct me because I'm not an expert. That being said, let's talk about Charlotte Bronte. Charlotte Bronte was born to Patrick Bronte and Maria Bronte. They lived in the area of Yorkshire, and Charlotte was one of 6 siblings. The Bronte siblings included Maria, Elizabeth, Charlotte, Branwell, Emily, and Anne. The 2 oldest daughters in the family, Maria and Elizabeth, died at a fairly young age along with the mother. I think they all 3 contracted tuberculosis, and they all 3 died. The sisters Maria and Elizabeth contracted tuberculosis at school, and I think their mom either died of cancer or tuberculosis. Studies are not exactly sure. After the mother died, their aunt Elizabeth Branwell comes in and helps raise them along with their father. The aunt kind of steps in as a mother figure and raises Branwell, Charlotte, Anne, and Emily. Now, if you've read the book Jane Eyre, you know that in the beginning, Jane talks about her time at this boarding school called Lowood. The very same school where Elizabeth and Maria contracted tuberculosis from is the same school that Charlotte Bronte models for Lowood in Jane Eyre. At this particular boarding school that they attended, there was really bad food, very terrible conditions, harsh discipline. It was not a happy boarding school. Charlotte and Emily Bronte leave that school in about 1825, and they enjoy some time at home, and they make up a lot of stories. They play games. They have a good time being kids, and they create many elaborate different stories and kingdoms and make-believe worlds. And this is the beginning of them exercising their imaginations together. In 1831, Charlotte goes to another school called Miss Wooler's School in Roe Head. She makes some long-lasting friendships, which would be later important to her, and she also returns to the school later as a teacher. However, she's pretty miserable there as a teacher, and she comes back home in 1838 after having suffered some ill health and depression, or what they would have called back then melancholia. Charlotte next spends some time as a governess, where she is trying to raise some money to help with her brother's debts. Her brother got them into a lot of debt as a family. He was a painter, a portrait painter, but he struggled a lot with drugs and alcohol. He was between jobs a lot, and he puts them into some financial debt. Branwell, because of his addictions to alcohol and drugs, dies at a very young age of 31. Charlotte was not really any happier as a governess than she was a teacher, and this is also something that comes out in Jane Eyre. Charlotte would complain about her employers not treating her as an equal. They treat her like a lesser human. In fact, she herself had a student throw a Bible at her head, which she also puts in Jane Eyre in the beginning of the novel. The young boy, I think the name is John Reed, he throws a book at Jane's head. Despite having a terrible time working in the field of education, Charlotte and her sisters want to open up a school. So they make plans to open up a school someday, and they go to Brussels to further their own education. In Brussels, they attract the attention of a teacher who I will pronounce their name wrong, but I will put it right here for you instead of me pronouncing it. This teacher really recognized that the sisters had an extraordinary ability and talents in different fields. Charlotte is said to have become romantically attached to this teacher. Charlotte is said to have admired him for his strong, eccentric personality and said herself that he had the most interesting mind of anyone she'd ever met. I don't know about you, but when I found that out, I saw some parallels between Mr. Rochester and maybe this teacher. Maybe there are some similarities there. I have no actual proof, but that's something I was thinking. This teacher did make a strong effort to squelch Charlotte's feelings because he himself was a married man. So Charlotte works on repressing her own feelings and dedicates herself to her literary endeavors. Charlotte did attempt to start a girls' school in 1844. However, it was unsuccessful. They weren't able to get students interested and it never took off. In 1845, Charlotte learns that her younger sister, Emily, has been writing poetry. And this leads the three sisters, Charlotte, Emily, and Anne, to put together a volume of their own poetry and get it published. Unfortunately, it was not a success. It only sold 2 copies. However, it did open the doors for them to release their own publication. Charlotte's first novel was The Professor, and it was actually rejected for publication at first, and Jane Eyre was her second attempt at a novel, and this luckily was accepted, and she fortunately had instant success with this novel in her lifetime. I wish I could say that everything was good for Charlotte after that, but it wasn't. Charlotte, after that, loses the rest of her family members. Branwell, Emily, and Anne all die within the next 2 years after Jane Eyre is published. Charlotte goes on after this period to write the novel Shirley, and this is also about the time when she starts to go to London and she does some networking. She meets some fellow authors, including William Thackeray, who you would know as the author of Vanity Fair, Harriet Martineau, and Elizabeth Gaskell, who would later go on to write a biography about Charlotte Bronte's life. However, I believe that biography is a bit more fiction than fact from what historians have learned. Charlotte then goes on to publish Villette, her next novel, and then finally settles down and marries. She actually rejected 3 other suitors and finally says yes to the 4th man who wants to marry her. That man was Arthur Bell Nichols, and they get married when Charlotte is the age of 38. I wish I could say things go well for their marriage, but you guessed it, they don't. During her very short marriage, she starts her next book, which was entitled Emma. There's a few pages of it that still exist. I'm not sure where you can read them, but historians were able to preserve those pages. But unfortunately, Charlotte dies after only a year of being married. She dies of complications with her pregnancy. So Charlotte Bronte is only 39 years old when she dies. It is crazy to me how such a short time on this earth could be so impactful, and that her works are still studied and talked about and read, and it's just insane to me. It really puts into perspective how difficult Victorian life would have been, how easy it was to just get sick and die. I, for one, am very thankful that we have her works because I am such a fan of Jane Eyre. It is one of my favorite classics. It has been such a joy to revisit Jane Eyre, and learning a little bit about Charlotte Bronte's life has really enhanced that experience for me. Let me know down in the comments, have you read any of Charlotte Bronte's works? Are you currently reading Jane Eyre with the read-along? We have Kate Howe and Emily from Novels, and they are leading a Jane Eyre readathon right now. So it's not too late to join in. You could probably squeeze it into the last couple weeks of October. I will link that information down below for you. I hope you're having a wonderful Victober. Please be sure to subscribe if you're new here and you want to see more bookish content from me, and don't forget to give my video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and until next time, keep reading great books. Bye-bye.